This story is entitled The Death of My Mother. Completely fictional, but it's supposed to be a depressing story. And if you know me well enough, I am extremely good at doing acting for all kinds of genres. Horror I'm pretty good at. Comedy is my best, and I'm pretty good at depressing, to be honest. Sometimes I even scare myself of my own acting skills. But to give you a better idea about this story, is to give you an idea of how I would act if I lost my mother tomorrow. So, here is basically how the story would go. I woke up Friday morning, January the 24th. It's 6 a.m. Frost is covered all over the car, and even a bit on the grass. It is so cold outside that I'm not really interested in getting out of the covers. I lay there, freezing to death. I'm not even sure if I'm ready to even get out of bed yet. The bed is so warm. Just as I'm about to pass back out in the bed, because I'm so tired. I mean, my alarm just went off. My dad turns on the light. A blinding light shines in my eyes. And I have to cover up my face with my quilt. I tell my dad, "No, not now." "Why now?" My dad tells me, "I'm sorry, David, but you have to get up. Your mom cannot be late today. She has to go to school, and you have to work." I groan and moan. I groggily pull back the covers, put my cold feet onto the warm carpet, and start walking towards the kitchen. I get to the kitchen, and there is Jonathan, my brother, underneath a blanket. He looks more like a big blob right now, because he is just as cold as me. I make sure that I grab a blanket on my way out of my room, because I am so cold, and the house is freezing at this point. My dad walks over to the heater and turns it on to get the house warm. I go through my normal morning routine as I get ready in the morning. A little bit later, we pile into the green van that is in the driveway. Because the car is so cold, my mom has to get it warmed up before Joff and I even get into the car. And we start driving off. A few minutes later, we talk and we talk all the way. My mom comments how tired she is and how ready she is for the weekend. My brother goes on about how many video games he's going to play on my Xbox and how much he wants to get accomplished over his 3-day weekend. And all I can think about is how many hours I have to work at Publix over the next few days. I finally dropped them off at their school in Winter Haven, Florida, and I drive back home. I am so relieved because for once I don't have to go to college right after I drop them off. I can just go straight home. I'm finally going to have a relaxing day. I stop at the Dunkin' Donuts and get myself a hot chocolate, so I need something hot to drink. I get a little bit of whipped cream added to it to cool it down a bit. And then I head home. Once I get home, I finally start to drink the hot chocolate. The rich, hot, creamy drink pours down my throat little by little and warms me up. I finally decide to get my breakfast. I reach into the cupboard and pull out a bowl, and then I look in the pantry and I find the cereal. I pour myself a bowl of cereal, strawberry awake, and then I reach into the refrigerator and grab a gallon of milk, and I start eating. The cats come by and say hello to me as usual in the morning. The guinea pig whistles up a tune as he wants to be fed his daily vegetables. I just ignore him right now because I'm more worried about stuffing my face right now. Finally, a little bit later, I put the bowl away into the dishwasher and I turn on my laptop unless I hadn't done it before, and I start playing the music. Finally, at round 2, by this time I'm already ready for work and my lunch is already made. I drive off to work. Not even a few hours later, am I in the middle of my shift when one of my coworkers walks over to me and asks to speak to me in private. Now I'm in the middle of my shift. I am very confused. Like, did I do something wrong? Did I bag someone's orders wrong? Did I do anything that requires me to be fired or get a pay raise deducted? The coworker looked very worried. Maybe it wasn't my fault. Maybe I didn't do anything wrong. I started to have a little joy, but the coworker still looked down. The coworker sadly explained, "Someone from your mother's school just called to say your mom was killed in a car accident." I looked up in horror. What? My mom was killed in a car accident? I sat down on the bench or chair, wherever we were I believe in the office. I placed my head in my hands, started shaking my head. No, can't be. She just couldn't die. How did this happen? Your mom was on her way over here to come get the car. Some person wasn't paying attention, crashed right into your mom's side of the car, or where she was. The car went off the road, and your mother was killed in the process. The driver survived and called the store immediately to let you know, because she didn't want you to worry. But that was my mom. Now she's gone. What am I gonna do? I'm sorry, David. I really don't know what to tell you. You don't have to come in for the rest of the day. Do you think I could talk to Justin? Of course you may. Yes, you definitely may. You called Justin over the intercom. Justin to the front, please. Justin to the front. Justin came over to bawling David. Whoa, David, what's the matter? I just lost my mom. Whoa, wait 1 second. How did you lose your mom? I don't understand. Is she okay? No. She was killed in a car accident. She really was. But how was she killed? Here, I'll explain to you. Some driver crashed into her side of the car. She was on her way over here to come get his car that he's been borrowing from her, and the driver crashed into the side of the car that she was riding in, and she was killed in the process. The car got flipped over into the grass. It was a A lot of police officers on the road right now trying to clean up the accident. Oh dear, David, you don't have to stay here for the rest of the day if you don't want to. The only problem is I don't know how to get home. I really don't. My dad doesn't get here until like 7 or something, and I still have to call him. Well, what time does your dad go on break or whatever? I think since he's at Finding Nemo the musical this week. Wait, your dad works for Disney? Yes. Yeah, since my dad's at Finding Nemo, my dad's first break is at 1:45, and then he has another one at 3:45. So that's when I would be able to talk to him. Well, let me see what time it is now. Oh, you can talk to him. Are you sure? Of course you may. Okay. Let me just pull out my cell phone. I just want to be left alone for a while. Oh man, poor guy. That was extremely hard losing your mom. Maybe we can find him another way to get home. Maybe I could just take him home really quickly. I just don't know if I have the time or not. Let me ask around, see if there's someone willing to take him home. Justin went on a little tour of the store to see if there's anyone that was willing to take me home, but there was no one available. Sadly, Justin had to take me home, even though he wasn't really available. He found a manager to cover for him until he got back. He could tell I was not in the mood to drive because he asked me at first if I wanted to drive home, and I replied that I was too depressed to drive anywhere. So he said this once he would allow me to leave the car overnight and I could just drive it back the next day, and I said it would be fine. I said I should be a bit better by tomorrow. Justin was surprised I'd be even back that fast. My dad heard about it when my dad heard about it, he was really surprised. And he was not happy either. And in fact, he left early to come see me. And he even came back to go get the car. So Justin was surprised that my dad came to go get the car. I ended up coming with my dad anyway and helping him out. I was even better than I thought that I would be by later on because I got to spend some time with my dad. Later on that night, you miss your mom, don't you? Yes, I definitely do. Man, I had no idea that she was going to die that quick. I really didn't. She was so amazing and wonderful. She was really sweet and best mother I ever had. I loved when you did say, though, that one day that you want Aunt Anne. I know, that's what I said, but I take it all back now. I really do. I really do want her back, though. If I think about her too much, I may start crying again. But, man, sometimes I think, and I realize that God definitely had a reason for me to have Mom, and not some other mother. Yes, David, I understand where you're coming from completely. I'm very sure that God had a reason for me to meet your mother as well. We didn't meet by accident. God completely put her in my life for a reason, and He put her in your life for a reason too. God has a reason for everything. Why things happen the way they do, we do not understand. But we just gotta keep understanding that God has everything planned out, and everything's gonna eventually work out for His will. Oh, yeah, I know, but still, why did it have to happen to her? There, David, it's okay. You might say that now, but it's really hard what happened to my mom. Yes, David, but that was my wife, too. And that's even worse than losing your mother. And don't forget, I know what it's like to lose my mom. Your mother knew what it was like to lose her mother. I just knew what it was like to lose my father, but your mother knew what it was like to lose her mother. You're right. And she did really well with it. And you know what she would say if she knew you're belly aching this much? You've got to let go of the past and trust in God. That is so true. God wants us to trust in Him all the way. There is going to be a grieving process. And I miss her very much too. And your brother's not happy either, but there's got to be a grieving process, but you've got to learn to let go. And I guess I've got to do that. I guess I will definitely have to do that. Eventually, I learned to let go more and more. People started to notice less and less that I was struggling to not have a mother. It was still hard for me days from then on. But then someone approached me one day, a few years after my mom passed away. So, David, how are you holding up? Oh, I'm doing pretty well. I still miss her to this day, and I still visit the place on the road where she passed away. We managed to get the body dragged over to the hospital and check on her, and she definitely did not survive, so we had her cremated, and now my dad keeps her ashes on his dresser for him to always remember, and that's where I always go to remember her. It's still very hard, though, to think about, especially the day that she passed away. I still break down and cry. It was just so mind-blowing. I never would have expected it. It's just not something that happens to everybody. To lose your mom like that. It's not a fun thing to do. You're right, David. It's not. But sadly, change is just a normal part of life. And we've got to learn to deal with it. And you're right. I do. But still, I just wish it was easier. The moral of the story is to learn to let go. No matter what the circumstances, trust in God, no matter what happens. Even if it's the worst thing that could ever happen, even when you really don't think that it could get any worse or any better, trust in Him, always. For He will always direct your path. I had several incidents where I thought that God had given up on me, or I didn't think that I could make it through life, but I just kept trusting in God, and I learned the hard way that God was there always with me. So even when I thought that I was all alone, but God kept putting people in my life, to encourage me to keep following Him. Well, forward to my next story, which is probably going to be a horror or something. And look forward to seeing you again, or talking to you again. Bye.